Hello, hello. Ganito pala ang mag-Facebook Live. Tagal ko nang di nagaganto. Okay, simulan natin. So, first time sa Facebook Live through this page. Hello, ako po si Eric, and hopefully every day or every other day meron tayong gantong session. Depende kung busy o kung ano man. Right? Okay, so first order of business. Congratulate natin si President-elect or presumptive President-elect Bongbong Marcos, I should say, at si presumptive Vice President-elect na si Sara Duterte. Again, we have to support them. Iisa tayong bansa, iisa tayong bangka, at bilang Pilipino, magkakaiba man tayo ng kulay ng election, we have to move forward, we have to go beyond that. And kasi kung mag-fail sila, lahat tayo mag-fail, right? So we have to be mature enough to be able to look at where we're at and support them the best that we can. Going back to kung ano sinabi ko kanina, hindi ibig sabihin na nakalimutan na natin yung mga nangyari nung nakaraan. Hindi ibig sabihin na ayon na tayo sa lahat ng sinasabi ng gobyerno o ng pamahalaan. Pero nagsalita ng marami. In fact, napakarami. That's why I'll keep saying duly elected kasi nga they were voted in by 31 million Filipinos. A super majority. Kung hindi ako nagkakamali, mga 58% give or take. So far, yung count na yun, 31 million. Right? So we cannot take that away from them. Demokrasya tayo and the people have spoken and we have to move forward and we have to support the VP and President BBM, right? Kahit gaano kasakit sa atin dahil naging passionate tayo sa pagkakampanya. Okay, so medyo may kodigo ako dito para maalala ko lahat ng sasabihin ko. So, moving on from that, number 2, I guess I have to address a little bit yung sinabi where it all started dun sa post na ginawa ko about my ex and my fellow UPCMC grad, which is CJ. It was posted in a public forum. Nakita ko siya, hindi ko fina-follow si CJ. Nakita ko siya sa Thinking Pinoy, so I saw it. And I felt compelled to make a counter-argument. And I gave her a heads up. Medyo late na niyang nabasa yata. Pero yeah, that's all there is to it. And I was very, very careful not to put anything personal. Kasi nga, pag nagdi-discussion tayo, dapat naman walang personalan. Arguments lang. The moment that you call somebody names or the moment that you accuse a finger on them on hearsay, wala ning negotiation nyo, wala na yung pag-uusap nyo, right? So that's why I made very specific points there to what she posted. And again, may sinasabi nga sila na the author is dead, na-publish na yon. It's up to you to make your own judgment on what was published. Pero I think very clear naman yung points that I made in that post, right? Okay, next. Going back to what I said, congrats sa bagong administration. We have to be realistic about this. We have to be mature about this. Kasi nga, I'm very aware na may mga nagsasabi, hindi yan duly elected. Merong smart magic, 68-32 daw. So I'm gonna touch upon a little of the things that they're saying. And before I go any further, I'm not, I'm very clear na itong page na to bago lang, and it's named the Pink Movement kasi I'm inspired by the Lenny Kiko leadership. I campaigned for them, I did house to house, so I'm just gonna try my very best to be balanced para hindi tayo echo chamber kasi we know that we lost. We have to recognize that and we have to reach out to people. And we cannot win another election kung magiging exclusionary tayo, right? So we have to be able to converse in genuine conversations. And the moment that we resort to name-calling or pagsasabing dayaan yan without solid proof, then we've already lost the struggle, right? Okay, next. May sabi 6832, smart magic. So, based na rin sa sinabi ng UP School of Statistics, it can very well happen. It's very possible with huge numbers. And we're talking millions of people here, right? So, unless may magka-counteract or may magka-contradict ng argument ng mga statistician na legit, then we're gonna have to side with cold hard facts. That's what we're gonna have to base our opinions on, right? Tapos, another fact is, apart from sa COMELEC na may transparency server, meron ding ongoing count na parallel that a couple of organizations are doing, right? Una na dyan yung PPCRB. PPCRV, which are essentially priests or volunteers ng church organizations, right? So the youth. So they're very clear in saying na so far 80% na yung nabilang nila. And so, ang discrepancy pa lang na nakikita nila ay around 1.8%. And even them, they're saying na itong 1.8% na to na discrepancy, it's very possible na that's because of human error or typo errors sa mga volunteers nila, right? So, it's still open to errors like that. So, we can therefore trust so far kung anong nakikita natin na 31 million to be true in fact, unless proven otherwise with cold hard facts, di ba? Isa pa, kanina ko lang ito nabasa, source code daw, may mga IT expert na nagsasabi yung mga SD card daw, may nakaprogram na source code, and may mga Java error, but again, until there's a further study that experts would back up with solid analysis, we're gonna have to trust the 31 million mandate. So, you know, it's a very solid voice of the people, right? Okay, next. May mga sinasabi ding allegations of vote buying, but again, these are anecdotes. And as you know, hindi ka makakonvince ng kahit sino kung anecdotes lang yung bala mo, right? There has to be solid evidence. And gaya ng ini-instill na leadership sa atin nila Sir Kiko at Ma'am Lenny, we have to be transparent, we have to be accountable, we have to be looking at facts, right? Okay, sige, I don't know how long na to, pero we're gonna try to limit it to 15-20 minutes para hindi kayo mabore. Next, another proof na it's a very solid mandate ay 83% yung turnout lumabas nung 2022 elections. That's a proof of a very effective and functioning democracy, right? 83%. According to COMELEC, yun ay isa sa mga pinakamataas ang pinakamataas na turnout for a presidential election, much less any other election, right? So we're gonna have to trust the system because a lot of the people have spoken, right? Next, okay, so ang iba pang notes ko dito, kwento ko lang ng konti, bakit pink movement yung tinawag ko sa page na to. It all started when I listened or when I was listening to a political analyst. Medyo masakit yung mga sinasabi niya. This guy, his name is Richard Heydarian. I suggest that you listen to the guy. He's very grounded, he's very balanced. Alam niya yung sinasabi niya, right? Ako, pedestrian lang yung take ko, wala akong PhD, wala akong MA, pero itong guy na to, isa siya sa mga nag-aral on not just the qualitative functions, but the qualitative metrics as well, para balance yung take niya, right? And he was able to predict, not really predict, but he was able to say, even before the election, na hindi na siya surprised dahil nakikita niya, based on qualitative and quantitative analysis na, di ba, kahit na yung mga tao sinasabi Google trend, but still, what the poll showed us, it did in fact hold at the very end of the election. So you have to listen to the guy. Medyo mayabang siya dahil marami siyang alam, pero I really respect the guy on his views. So listen to him. Richard Heydarian. Tapos karamihan ng mga sasabihin ko dito, poor copies or poor regurgitation lang ng mga analysis niya, pero I think he's doing a great job. So I'm gonna do my little part to be able to amplify that kahit na medyo maliit pa lang yung audience natin, di ba? Okay. Next. What I'm gonna try and do sa page na to is to give my pedestrian take on news that I'm seeing on a daily basis. And kailangan nating mag-engage genuinely with people outside of our echo chamber. Kahit ako, like, you know, realistically, even if I campaigned vigorously for Lenny and Kiko, nasa echo chamber pa rin ako. Even my friends, even some of my relatives. So nagulat pa rin kami sa result ng election. But nandyan na yan. We have to trust on what we're seeing so far without any solid evidence against the 31 million mandate, right? So we have to support the government, right? So dumana tayo dyan sa different stages of grief. Ngayon, acceptance na tayo. What are we going to do further, right? So what I'm going to try and do, bigay tayo ng good news and bad news on what we're seeing in the news. So I'm gonna try and do my part as a citizen na pumuna ng mga medyo mali na nakikita natin, because when the citizenry is silent, that means na, 'di ba, maghari-harian yung mga hindi dapat maghari-harian. They're responsible to the citizens, right? Tapos on the flip side, kailangan din nating i-congratulate, kailangan nating bigyan ng pat on the back yung mga magagandang ginagawa ng administration, right? Kay Digong man yan, or kay papasok na BBM at Sara na administration, because that's the way to be able to engage genuinely to a bigger audience than what we have, right? Ako, kakamping ako. Marami akong, hindi naman marami, nakadalawa lang akong house to house, pero marami akong kilala na nakarami ng house to house, right? Super disappointed yung mga yon. So, we need to be able to learn from our mistakes. Isipin natin saan tayo nagkamali and how are we going to adjust. At the end of the day, elections, it's about winning hearts and minds. And we're not going to be able to win hearts and minds by putting comments na bobo, by putting comments na tanga, by putting comments na let me educate you. Alam ko hindi sa atin galing yung let me educate you na linyahan na yan. May nagsabi ng galing sa isang vlogger yan. But that thinking of trying to impose what you know on somebody else, it's not going to work, right? So we need to be able to have genuine discussion. So ito yung try na aim ng page na to, right? Okay, good news, bad news. So magbigay tayo ng examples on what I'm going to be commenting. And introduce ko lang ang aking pet na mataba. Ayan, medyo mascot yan. Gawin nating mascot. So good news, for example, PRRD at BBM transition pa to. Number 1, GDP growth natin for Q1, it exceeded the projections, and what they were anticipating kung ano yung growth ng economy natin. Ang projection lang nila around 7% lang, but in fact it grew even further than that, driven by consumption by consumers, right? So na-hit nila yung 8.3% of GDP growth, which is again great job. Awesome, sana magtuloy-tuloy pa yan. Maraming headwinds kasi nga nanggagaling pa rin tayo sa pandemic, and medyo jittery yung international, let's say, organizations, whether financial or governments, about the transition to a BBM leadership. Pero that's natural in any election cycle, right? Ngayon medyo pronounced because of the baggage and the history of the Marcos family. We were all aware of that. Pero it's cyclical na nangyayari. Every election, babagsak talaga. And then after 6 months, medyo aangat uli yung ekonomiya. So we're rooting for our leaders na magtuloy-tuloy na yung ekonomiya natin, right? This is everybody us on the boat. Okay, another good news. Galing kay Duterte, sabi niya, suggestion niya kay BBM, abolish the party list system. Yes, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Kasi nga, nagiging backdoor siya on politicians, on rich families, on rich dynasties to be able to put more heads into Congress. Like ito yung mga kunyari transport group, kunyari ito yung mga marginalized group. Isang naiisip ko ay tutok to win party list. I'm not exactly sure kung anong marginalized sector na nire-represent nila, pero ewan ko kung ilang seat yung napanalunan nila, right? So I'm gonna have to agree with that suggestion ni Digong na it's gonna have to be abolished kasi nga nagiging dirty backdoor system ng mga dynasties or ng politicians who want to put more people in there, right? Isa pang good news, na ginawa naman ni Digong, government workers, GOCCs, meron na silang, anong tawag dito, night differential pay. So dati sa mga call centers lang yan, so dati sa mga, ano bang tawag dito, sa mga private organization lang yan, or companies na medyo, they want to extend that privilege, or they want to extend that 10% na bump. Now, it's really good na binigyan na rin yung mga kawani natin ng gobyerno, pati mga GOCC ng 10% na yan. Biruin mo, diba, ang laki-laki ng call centers or call center industry, which I'm a part of, tapos sila may 10% every time na magpupuyat sila. Bakit yung mga public officials hindi? They deserve that. So that's a great job from Digong. Okay, bad news. Bad news, this could be admin, this could be like on the kakamping side. We're gonna have to try and be balanced to try and pierce the echo chambers to be able to move forward from the defeat, diba? Okay, I'm gonna have to mention yung mga hoax that we cannot play. We have to be bigger than what we've seen on social media. Kasi when we see information that's not yet verified by verifiable sources, meaning CNN, Inquirer, mga malalaking news organizations that have the capability to verify, we're gonna have to give it a grain of salt. Like for example, yung Amanpulo. Later on, we found out, marami nang nag-share, marami nang nag-criticize, marami nang gumawa ng meme about the turon. But it turns out, it's probably not true. Kasi walang solid facts. We're gonna have to look at solid facts. Unless may magbigay ng solid facts, then that's the only time that we can amplify that or may ibang nag-verify, right? So we cannot be instruments of that. Kasi pag shinare natin yun, paano naman yung credibility natin sa ibang tao, di ba? So, let's verify. Let's be the bigger person in the sense na wag tayo mag-spread ng hindi pa verified na things, even if feeling natin we're making a point. Kung hindi pa verified, we're kind of negating the point we're trying to make. Okay, next. Bad news. So sabi ko kanina, good news, 8.3% GDP growth. Yung stock market naman natin medyo pabagsak. Although 8.3% GDP growth nung first quarter tayo, ang stock market natin ever since nakita na yung presumptive President BBM natin, pababa siya. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Ever since na-declare, hindi pa na-declare, di ba? Pero nakita na 31 million yung mandate. Because of all the baggage, because of all the history, wala nang tiwala. So parang bumaba siya ng mga 5%, 6% from the time na nakita ng results, right? But again, we're rooting for the economy, we're rooting for the leadership. So what we're hoping to see is ma-establish na yung cabinet ni President BBM so that mapakita nila sa international community na okay, may baggage kami, may family history kami, but base me, sinabi na to na judge me based on my actions, not on my ancestors. And again, hindi natin nalilimutan yon. But he was given a mandate. People want him to lead, so we're gonna have to respect that, right? Sorry pa ulit-ulit ako doon sa point na doon. I think a lot of people have to kind of absorb that. Medyo namnamin ng konti, kumain ng pride. Hindi yan yung sinuportahan ko kahit ako personally, but ito yung presidente natin. And we have to say that this is our president, right? 31 million of our fellow Filipinos said that. Okay, so sabi ko lang, pababa na yung stocks. I'm invested in stocks as well, so medyo nakikita natin yan. So at the start of the year, 7,600 yung tawag dito, PSE or Philippine Stock Exchange. Pero because of the transition of the election, ngayon bumaba na siya as low as 6,400, nagdip siya. So malaki yung dinip. And then ngayon umangat na siya ng konti for the past couple of days. 6,600 na siya. So hopefully magtuloy-tuloy siya. Past elections, presidential, especially cyclical yan. After 6 months, sabi ng experts, dapat aangat yan. So we're hoping for that. We're rooting for that. This is everybody in one boat, dapat. Okay. Maliban dyan, ano pa ba? I think yun lang yung nasa listahan ko. I don't want to belabor the point. So, salamat sa tatlong nanonood ngayon. Thank you. So, alam natin, konti pa lang yung followers on page, but what we're hoping to do is spread the message, spread the love of genuine conversation. Please, I implore you, kung nakikinig kayo sa akin ngayon, when you comment on something in the page itself, wag tayong mangbabarubal, wag tayong mangbabarda. Kasi the moment that you give or you utter a negative statement, sarado na yan eh. Kahit gaano pa kaganda yung sinasabi mong point. Right? So that's why when I wrote that counter-argument to CJ nga, I really made it a point not to have any personal attack, any personal argument, kasi we want a discussion. Right? Unfortunately, na-block na niya ako sa page ko. Pero nag-invite naman siya sa page na to, so thank you. Hindi na ako nakasagot doon. But thank you for the people that may be watching this na galing doon. Welcome kayo dito. What we want is a dialogue. Yung mga sinasabi niya doon na personal attacks, Ano na lang tayo, mom na lang tayo. Kung yun po yung opinion nyo at nakikiagree kayo doon, hindi yun yung naalala ko, but we're not going to make any accusations here. Hearsay yan. Andito tayo for facts, and we're here to support the new government. Yun lang. So, thank you, salamat, adiyo, till next time, bye! Okay, paano ba ito i-finish? Pindot.